And once again, Donk is doing Donk things.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah, Blast Bounty, if you were unfamiliar, Season 2 was just taking off across over towards the pond. And, well, over there, it sounds exactly what it is. If you have Blast Bounties over top of yourself, you win more matches, the higher the dollar is for your namesake to then get taken down, and then that prize pool can then be gobbled up by the enemy team. Really cool thing that Blast was able to put together for their entire team. But as Chris was talking about, Spirit coming away from the previous IEM as champions had the target on their back. They absolutely dismantled Mouse 3-0 in that grand final, and we're definitely poised to do well as far as this finals is concerned. And wouldn't you know it, their opening round matchup here in quarterfinals sucks to be VP, especially when Shiro is hitting nice little quick snaps like that out here in Overpass. One of the latest maps to the addition here, Chris, and again, Spirit with a new map intel looked very good on it.
They did, and I mean, they went, and once again, they would have to face off against Mal's, and they, you know, sometimes faltered in previously earlier in the season, but now it doesn't matter. The Spirit era is upon us. Now, I don't think it's a question mark anymore. I think it is cemented in here, and then off into the grand finals, facing off against the Mongols. Many would have thought it should have been Vitality. We'll talk about that later, but Mongols coming out big, actually taking Spirit to probably some of their hardest maps that we saw in the Blast Bounty. But again, they would just completely dominate it, though. When they got going, they are going now full speed ahead. And, you know, 13-11 on Nuke. We're looking at the Mirage here where it did go into the overtime, but once it did, it was all Spirit.
Yeah, Donk, as far as a rifleman is concerned, is definitely making the stake for being the absolute GOAT. I mean, in his very young career, I think it's somewhere like he's played like 20 tournaments in an 18-month career, and he's got like 10 MVPs, which is just absolutely nuts. There's the final moment on Ancient. A 3-0 here as far as Blast Season 2 is concerned. New kid Sway getting absolute daps up from the coach. Chopper as well. He's definitely made himself feel right at home as far as this team is concerned. Donk last to get dapped up because he knows that he absolutely just laid the smackers down as far as Mongols are concerned. But Mongols, look, they had themselves a really good tournament through and through. They finally put at least one demon to rest, being, of course, Vitality, who have a lot of different struggles that they need to try to figure out along the way as well. But still, I mean, Spirit, the way that they were able to win that tournament, man, sweeping everybody along the way, they looked impenetrable as far as their teamwork is concerned.
They did, and we have to see how they continue to grow as time goes on. But let's talk about another big team that has been making strides in the later half of this year, and that is the Mongols. Yes, they have been completely on a warpath ever since, you know, about the midway point, and even behind them, the USA, but Mongolia. Let's talk about the entire country just behind this team, and they have looked so good. No longer the underdogs, to say the least. Going up against Aurora, had a little bit of a tough time going into this first map, but they did have an epic comeback that just kind of cemented them all the way to that finals.
Yeah, Mizzino there with that 4K, 9-10, he was just playing some legendary Counter-Strike this event. It's been a long time coming that this entire team was able to piece it together. Here's that moment versus Vitality, being able to find the flank around the back. He's more than just an AWP. Nice timing there from 9-10, all the way through the middle of the map, push through arches of all places, just to come up back behind enemy lines. Last little read right there to be able to take down Mezzi, and 9-10 smile on his face. Again, this team was absolutely humming. This clip in particular was nuts. This one made me feel like Vitality were just lost. Like they were just head bashing their way to try to take down 9-10, not covering the rest of that site. And all the crossfires allowed for 9-10 just to jiggle peek from that pillar to be able to take down Vitality where they previously stood. The Mongols throughout all of this versus Vitality were not the favorites. They never were. They haven't beaten them, let alone taken a single map off of them in quite some time. So for them to be able to beat them 2-0 the way that they did, nobody saw this unprecedented matter happening the way they did. Definitely not Apex.
Definitely not. And as it said, 10 straight defeats against Vitality. And they finally break it. They would go to the grand finals versus Spirit. As we just saw, unfortunately, they would fall. But again, this is such a big step up for them. It's looking great. But as we talked about, Vitality once again denied the grand finals. We saw them in so many grand finals until these last two. They have just completely fallen off.
Yeah, look, the Vitality dynasty, is this where it comes to an end, or is this just their low spot as they're trying to figure things out? You go ahead and let us know, because we got a couple of different things to talk about as far as this team is concerned. battering of the bees, I suppose. They definitely had a lot of their brighter moments, but the Hive, ever since putting that big old stake in the middle of their jerseys, have not looked the exact same. Not saying it's correlated, but something doesn't feel right in this camp. From winning all of those tournaments in a row, from being the absolute legends that they are, to go up against Mongols is, again, it should have been a very easy route into the grand finals for the Retribution versus Spirit, but it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And you would think, especially after, you know, they go into the matches that we saw against Liquid, and they have to sit there and they have to go over into overtime. They finally beat them. They go into Mongols. They don't even get to overtime. They lose into the regulation play against this team, a team that they had beaten so many times before. They were just not looking on form right now. As you said, they look lost, and they just can't really seem to find their way back in. And misses it, gets killed there. Zywoo, you're expecting him to hit that shot.
Yeah, he's going to be thinking about that one for a while for Zywoo to be able to force that round 23. Here's the frustrating moment coming through from Vitality, again, losing to the Mongols. Nobody beats them in 11 time, apparently, especially if you're dressed like a bumblebee there as far as Blast is concerned. So, yeah, Vitality, they got a lot of things that they have to try to rectify and try to figure out in the upcoming weeks because, or I'm sorry, not even in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming days because, again, flying straight from Blast, getting top 4 the way that they did back-to-back, top 6, excuse me, top 4, and then going straight into EWC. We'll be able to see what they are going to be keeping in store for us.